One time they tell me was an old traveler going down the highway, and he was tired and hungry and worried, and he came up to this rich farmer's house, and he stopped and he said, "Sir," he said, "I'd like a place to sleep and something to eat." But he said, "Sir," he said, "I don't want you to think I'm begging for it." He said, "If you've got some work for me to do," he said, "I'll work for it." The rich farmer looked down at the old man and passion struck his heart, and he said, "Sir," he said, "I got a ditch that needs to be dug from my barn out into my meadows." He said, "If you'll dig that ditch," he said, "I'll give you a place to sleep." He said, "It'll give you food to eat." He said, "It'll give you clothes to wear." He said, "It'll even give you money to help you travel when you get ready to go on your way." The old man looked up and smiled and thanked him and took the job. A few days later, he was down the ditch working with his pick and shovel, and the rich farmer's little boy wandered down that way, and he heard the old man saying something, and he wandered on up just a little closer, and he heard him saying something that sort of sounds like this.
Oh yes, I'm a child of the King. His royal blood now flows through my veins, and I, the most wretched and poor, now can sing. Praise God, I'm a child of the King.
The little boy said, "Sir," he said, "you don't look like no child of no king to me." He said, "A child of a king would have fine clothes to wear and a soft bed to lay in." He said, "Sir, your clothes is all ragged and torn." He said, "Your hair is long and your beard's grown out." He said, "Why, sir, you just look like a bum to me." With that, the old man, he just laid down his shovel there and came up out of the ditch, and he said, "Son," he said, "I'm a child of the king." He said, "I'm a child of the real king." He said, "You see your daddy's cattle out on them hills?" He said, "Well, my father owns them cattle and the cattle of 1,000 hills." He said, "You see your daddy's lake down there? That water and all the water my father holds in the palm of his hands." He said, "My father even made the lilies of the valleys, and one day just locked himself into them." He said, "Even made the spars, and he feeds them and knows where they fall." He said, "Even made the big sunball, and one day just hung it out there on nothing to shine." They tell me about that time he run to the house and said, "Daddy, why don't you run that old man off down there?" He said, "Daddy, we don't need him." He said, "Daddy, your cattle and the cattle of 1,000 hills his father owns." He said, "Daddy, your water and all the water his father holds in the palm of his hands." He said, "Daddy," said, "even made the lilies of the valleys, and one day locked himself into them." He said, "Even made the spars, and he feeds them and knows where they fall." He said, "Daddy," said, "even made the big sunball, and one day just hung it out there on nothing to shine." And he said, "Daddy, I don't understand how a man could be so rich and still be so poor." The rich farmer reached out and pulled the little boy in close to him, and he said, "Son, he is a child of the king. Everything me and your mommy own belongs to his father." As the rich farmer stood there holding the little boy in close to him, I couldn't help from thinking of a little boy that had a hard-working daddy and a washboard mommy that was lost so far out in the miry clays of sins, but the King of Kings come by one day and picked him up out of there, and he established his gold in him. And from that day on, I've been a child of the King. I know I'm a child of the real King.